Live. Welcome back to the Wanna Parlay podcast. I'm Lance Bell. Next to me is Jack Neuheisel. Jack, go ahead and tell the folks about Wanna Parlay.
Show is brought to you, as it is every day, by the good folks of Wanna Parlay, home of the $2 parlay and the world's richest parlay, where every week people are turning $2 into $2,000 and walking out the door with it. Pretty special stuff going on around here. We are just one day into our Wanna week, folks, but the boys and girls of Wanna Parlay already rocking and rolling and lining their pockets with more money than they started with. Several special shout outs to hand out today. The pick six, who else, Lance, but dialed picks. Go ahead and rack up another $400, man. Good God with this guy. He's looking like our first 10K winner here soon, Lance. He's rapidly approaching that number. Start paying attention, people. Go check out that profile. The man is allergic to losing. Pick five. Lance, 2 winners on this one. Same guy. Guess who it is? People, check your nose. Otherwise, I'm going to point at Pete again. Dialed motherfucking picks. A combined 550 won there. That's 950 for this guy. It's only Monday. Or it's Tuesday we're recording this, but one day of betting. Holy shit. Pick 4. Let someone else get a turn, for God's sakes. Dialed picks. Red Smith 88, our guy Brad, one of the nicest guys around. Way to go, Brad. $250 redshirt, proud of you. Parlay of the day, number 0 picks up a nice $40 check. First time seeing him in the winner circle, so good for number 0. Quick little update on the main event. One of our special prizes around here, the 2K we love to talk about. Steve Lloyd, 708, gets out to a nice early lead, posting a 30.71 on a nice little Monday night 7-legger. Steve, with great respect to you, I guarantee that's going to win you good money, but it will not hold on for the 2K prize. So make sure you're getting more picks up there. And everyone else out there, that 2K is still very much up for grabs this week. It only costs you $2. What are you doing with your life? Go get over there, place a bet. And then a reminder, an update on the Wanna VIP contest. It is the final week to participate, as the contest does in fact close this December 1st. Best thing on Wanna Parlay, or anywhere else for that matter, anyone's offering in the entire marketplace. Contest just costs you $2 to enter, and the winner is going to receive 2 all expenses paid tickets to the Wanna Parlay suite in Arrowhead to watch Justin Herbert and the Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on Taylor Swift and the Chiefs this December 8th. Dial picks remains in first with 49.57 because of course he fucking does. This number is hung on way longer than I would have ever guessed. I got a feeling though, Lance, it's hunting season. I don't know who it's going to be, but someone's going to post something big there soon. I hope it's you, whoever you are listening right now, but that thing's closing this week. One more chance. We like to say that $2,000 prize. The value of this thing is well over 2K, so make sure you're getting involved there. And that is who brings you the show. Now let's talk our shit, Lance. Let's get into the show.
I just want to give the shout out that he deserves. Dialed picks, man. You're making a living. You're making a living right now doing your work here at Wanna. So, good for you. I hope you're reporting these winnings to your tax guy. I hope you're paying taxes on this because you're making a lot of money. You're doing well. As for everyone else, be better. Get like dialed picks. Do what he does because he wins and you guys aren't winning like he is. So do what he does. And I got to do the same because this guy just is unbelievable, Jack. This is sickening. This is unbelievable.
We'll have to talk to the boys in the marketing team, the boys and girls in the marketing team, and start officially building a Mount Rushmore between this guy, Steel Curtin, a couple of these characters.
Kevin Turner. Kevin
Turner. I forgot about our boy K. God, I love that guy.
He's so good.
We got to get an update on that swing set if you ever bought it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I got to see him on the swing set. But all right. Little accountability time, little Monday action we had last night. Jack, you went positive. You did well. You were the smart guy.
Yeah, I do okay. I go 3-2. It should have been 4-1 too. That fucking under. I cannot bet unders anymore. They're too painful to lose. It was ridiculous. 2 or 3 fourth down flags on that final drive for the Chargers, and all of a sudden this thing goes kaput. I mean, really bad stuff. But obviously, we're right on the Baltimore -2.5. Feel good about that. We're wrong on the under. You know what? If you bet the over and 1, your day is coming, pal. Okay, don't feel like you escaped with something. You're marked for your day's coming. You're gonna catch what's coming around to you because that was ridiculous. I feel bad, Lance, but I tried to talk you into Lamar over.
I know. When I watched him score that rushing touchdown, I literally was like just sitting there staring straight face, and the voice in my head just saying, "God damn it, Jack was right."
So we get out of that deal okay. NBA, you and me both take it on the shorts. Denver, eek, man. Uh,
Woo! Were we fucking wrong on that one, man? Jesus.
I I stopped watching midway into the second because it felt pretty over. But I went back and checked it this morning. They literally didn't win a single quarter. Like that was just a boat race from start to finish. You could have
Yeah.
made quite the living just going live all day last night on the Knicks, just over and over and over again. Because good lord.
No, 100%. Yeah, my thing about the Knicks, I mean, so what I thought going in, I was like, well, Karl Anthony Towns has statistically been one of the worst big men inside the paint contesting shots. Like they're scoring at a 90% clip. So I'm thinking, well, we have Jokic, the best fucking player in the world, and where does he dominate? The paint. But what I didn't take into it for account is that the Knicks already plan on, no matter who the center is, scoring at will in the paint. So their perimeter defenders in Bridges and Anunoby take away basically everyone else from the game. And yeah, Jack, we got fucking boat raced. Jokic was doing fine, and there was no one else helping him.
At least there's some high level thinking coming from you right there. I just watched the Nuggets boat race the Lakers, and I was like, okay, 9-7 Nuggets. You're about to get organized and go on a little tear here. I make this mistake every year in the NBA season where I try to bet it like football. Like I try to see like teams getting hot and getting right, and these games just don't matter. And I just don't know the plot lines beyond the scenes. Like we had Kev, our boy KG, call in from Chicago to say the boys on the Bulls or the whoever they were playing, the Bulls were playing was out late that night.
The Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies. The Grizz were out late last night partying, and it's like, yeah, that's that shit I need. Now I can bet on the game. Me sitting here trying to go like, oh no, the Nuggets are getting ready to go on a hot streak. I mean, fuck. They shouldn't have even showed up last night.
No,
it was bad.
It was gross.
In Denver too. Like I would
like the altitude, like everything. You think everything's on your side.
Dude, I'd like to see stats. It has to be one of their worst home losses in like recent history. It like has to be. And
yeah.
It felt like, and we're on. It's just so stupid, so stupid. And then, not that I'm all that smart of a guy. I haven't watched all that much college hoops, but I do get the Michigan minus 10.5 versus Virginia Tech. I stand by everything I said in that bad boy. ACC has not looked great. The plot line to follow.
Really? Wait, is there? That means tonight. I know I'm getting a little backwards, but tonight, isn't there an SEC ACC matchup?
We got Duke playing tonight, and I'm a little bit turned around on it. It's kind of my stay away game because, frankly, Duke looked really good against Arizona. I don't know quite what to do with them right now.
Yeah, the game I'm thinking of, and it's later in the night, is North Carolina versus Auburn.
Oh, that's what you got rolling right there.
Yeah.
Also an interesting one. North Carolina
we'll talk about it though when we get to our picks. Actually, I got a question. We didn't really talk that much about it. I got to do my accountability. What am I talking about? I'm all over the place, Jack. I'm all over the place. Help me out here.
we got a busy roster today. Well, your accountability is easy too because you tried to go all in on a parlay. So you're one and done, just loser here. You do go 3-3.
That is true. I mean, the Nuggets money line, gross. We just talked about it. Dicker the kicker came through, but Tucker didn't. That was tough because I really thought there was going to be a field goal or something there from Tucker. Never happened. McConkey hit with ease. Guy's a monster. His other counterpart on receiver, Quentin Johnson, is actually the biggest piece of dog shit. But, we won't go that much into it. I don't want to kick a guy when he's down. The Derrick Henry anytime touchdown just didn't happen. Lamar took it. We watched it. I think Justice Hill had a touchdown as well. Another stolen touchdown from Derrick Henry. It's all right. But he hit his over in yards.
Another shot against my under, too. We're trying to run the clock out right there, and he just pieces off a 52. It's the longest rush in his career, by the way. I love when those stats drop you to lose a bet. Thanks a lot, Justice Hill. Hell of a night to pick it. Keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, it's beautiful. But yeah, no, that wraps it up. So went 3-3. The Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, that was brutal. And Nuggets money line, I can't believe I was ever. I mean, I really thought I was like the Knicks, not the Knicks. They can handle the Knicks, and my God, did the Knicks just beat the shit out of them. My oh my.
Bad across the board.
All right. So we got something to introduce here. We got something that's been made by you.
Oh
And
yeah, I'm excited that we're going to get to do it because as we talk right now, we're about 2 hours in front of the college football playoff show. And
okay.
after just the chaotic weekend we had, it's going to be fascinating to see how they play some of this stuff tonight. Whether or not Indiana gets seriously penalized, what do they do with all these 3-loss SEC teams? Where's Clemson at on this list right now as they get ready to play South Carolina this weekend? Is SMU going to be locked regardless if they beat Cal this week, or do they have to win the ACC championship to get in? A lot of plot lines still at play, Lance. But I'll tell you this. So one of the biggest problems we currently have and why people are going to be frustrated with how this goes, because people are going back and forth as I've been listening to like college football talk shows and the pundits go through it over the last couple of days. The complaint has been who would win against Ole Miss, Penn State. If we really go and evaluate this SEC conference, it's kind of cannibalized itself. And this is always the debate that we have, and this is how you end up with screwed teams, is it the 12 most deserving teams or is it the 12 best teams? And it's always, those aren't always the same list. And then what do you do to people who did everything they were asked to do? They're more than deserving, but it just plainly plays itself out on film that they're not as good as some other teams that don't quite have the win-loss record and maybe aren't as deserving. So I don't know. It's a bizarre deal, but as we go through it, okay, the current model of college football, the whole reason for bringing this conversation up is I think the writing's on the wall, Lance, and I'm not the first guy to bring this up, but I will be the first guy to lay down what the fucking model's going to look like, Davey, is college football is going to completely change from the way we know it now. The conference model that they're set up behind and the way it operates is going by the wayside. And I would say within 5 years, we will have what looks like a junior NFL model. We say Power Four conferences in a current model, right? But what are we really saying with that? SEC and Big Ten have rigged that whole deal up. No one without batting an eye would stop and say that the SEC isn't clearly the best conference in football, that the Big Ten isn't clearly the second best conference. Who's to say between the Big 12 and the ACC it's a toss-up and it goes to the homers that still exist in those two conferences? The Pac-12 exists, but no, it doesn't, right? All those teams are still out there. We still kind of think of them as Pac-12 teams. Technically exist between Washington State and Oregon State, but what the hell are we talking about there? They won't get treated as the conference champion, whoever wins that game this week. So I don't know what we're saying there. And then we go to try to rank these teams, and all the answers that should have been answered by the conference, because these teams are all supposed to be playing each other and give us a champion and a clear hierarchy, all those questions are still on the table. So like as we go through it here, Lance, ACC, the top 3 teams are SMU, Miami, and Clemson. Not one of those teams has played each other.
That's the crazy. When you told me that in the beginning of the season, how you said they don't play each other, I mean, it blew me away. Like how, I don't know how the scheduling, how can you not at least have one, like you can't have all 3 not play each other.
We've got all these conferences are somewhere between 16 and 18 teams. And because of the SEC rigging it up years ago, where they decided to go to an 8-team conference schedule instead of a 9-game, they continuously were getting to play teams like Towson and Hofstra and Drexel and Citadel in November. And so as much as they were playing the top teams of the country, their schedules were so perfectly set up that they had 2 or 3 weeks a year that they had to show up. So now everyone followed suit. And so everyone's got everyone gets 4 non-conference games. They'll play an FCS game in there, a group of 5 game in there, a low-level Power 4 school, and then some flashy game. And oftentimes those games are at a neutral site anyway. LSU, USC this year played in Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's just the ACC. Not one of the top 3 teams in the conference, all 3 with a chance to still make the playoff. Not one of them played each other. We have no idea who the best team from the ACC is. Big Ten, 3 of the top 4 teams are Oregon, Penn State, and Indiana. All 3 are getting playoff spots. Not one of them played against each other.
I will say in that one, at least you have Penn State, and they all played Ohio State, so you can kind of rank them, maybe.
No,
but I see what you're. Don't get me wrong, I see what you're saying,
yeah.
But I'm like, at least they kind of.
Yeah, and Penn State played USC, who was supposed to be better, and some of these teams played Wisconsin, who was supposed to be better. They're like it's a down year for the Big Ten, so I don't think necessarily this was planned in the preseason scheduling. And certainly Indiana wasn't supposed to be on this list of like, holy shit, you didn't play Indiana.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point.
But
You
the point
coward.
being, the point being, right, is like the model is screwed up here. This is dumb that we don't know the answers to that question of who's better between Indiana and Penn State. There's no way of answering that. They have the same resume and they haven't played each other, but they're from the same conference. So now they both get to go to the playoff.
Yeah, that's just tough. It seems like this system. You're right. There's no way this system lasts.
And just to drill the hammer here, let me just keep rolling through current state of college football. Okay, Colorado, BYU, Iowa State, all with a chance to still coming into the Saturday to go to the Big 12 championship, did not play each other. ASU is the fourth team on that list that's got a chance to go to the Big 12 championship. They only played BYU of the other three teams
And won.
But my point being is, so we can say ASU is better than BYU, but outside of that, you start playing the transitive property. What the hell are we left with? SEC, ton of cannibalism. You know, Georgia did play a legit fucking schedule this year. Georgia played at Texas. Georgia played at Ole Miss. They played Tennessee. Georgia played a neutral game against Clemson to open the year. Georgia
At
played
Bama.
Georgia played at Bama. Georgia played a legit schedule this year. Give it up for Georgia. But Tennessee, Texas, and Ole Miss, all three teams that think that are trying to hang on for a playoff spot right now, none of them played each other. So it's a dumb system. Let alone, Lance, before you start talking about the other issues, right? The TV times, the fact that USC still plays 8 o'clock West Coast times that no one will see on the East Coast. Stupid. The fact that because Ashton Jeanty goes to Boise State, we somehow his eligibility for the Heisman is different from other teams.
Yeah.
That somehow now there's an asterisk next to his whole resume because he plays at Boise State. And the first question, as you go to reorganize it, as always, is what's best for the players? Because that's the lifeblood of this whole thing. Everything we do when you change or amend or do anything should always ask first, what's best for the players? Is this direction better or worse than for the players? And the second question is what's best for the fans? Because again, you don't have anything. We go back to this being an amateur sport, played with volunteer refs if the fans aren't a part of this thing. So once we do those two things and we get that straightened out, then have at it, TV and money people. But I think once you ask those two questions, here's what the TV and money people are coming back for. Okay, here's college football 2.0, folks. And I'm going to preface by saying I'm very sorry we had to leave some teams out. And I'm not saying this is how it goes, but for the sake of argument, just so we can see it, some teams had to get left behind.
Do you have the list of teams that you left out that you'll say at the end or something?
I did. I don't when I transferred it over. I can tell you the team I feel really bad about, but I don't, is Cal. Cal, you're gone. You're out.
Wow. Cal.
Cal's gone.
Cal's football's gone?
We only have 64 spots, and Cal hasn't invested in their football program since fucking, I don't know, Jeff Tedford and Marshawn Lynch. Yeah. And even before then, no, they didn't. Those guys are just from there, and they had a culture, and they just recruited the shit out of California. That, like, as soon as the transfer portals become a thing, as soon as there's been a chance where you can legitimately go move the needle and it doesn't have to take 5 years anymore, how is it Colorado's gotten to blow by Cal? How is that possible? It's because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so in the meantime, we'll talk about it. I propose a promotion and relegation model, which I'll get to at the end. So there's an opportunity for all these teams to come back. You're not dead for good.
Okay, I like that.
But to start, Cal and a couple other teams, you're gone. And I'm sorry. That's just the way it's got to be. You got to care more. I don't know what else to tell you. But Lance, College Football 2.0 will feature 64 teams. Okay, 64 teams total. We will have 2 conferences of 32 within there. Call them whatever you want. If it's American and National, if it's blue and red. I don't think East and West or North or South is a good way to go, because I think that's where you end up with weird Big Ten versus SEC debates. I think you want to splinter it up a little bit more. And another big argument I'll make in grouping the 8 divisions of 8 that I've grouped together is the travel schedule. Is making this a reasonable thing where SMU isn't flying to both coasts to play games this year as a Texas school. Yeah. And meanwhile, Kentucky, who played at Texas this year, literally it's the furthest they've gone west in their entire football school's history, which is over 100 years old.
Wait. What?
Kentucky playing in Austin, Texas this year was the furthest west their football team has traveled in their like history.
And they're like that's over 100 years, no? Like they're
Yeah.
one of the blue blood like OG college.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's
How?
dumb, isn't
My question is only how? Like, how did they get away with this?
It's a matter of policy. No one was checking up on them. And they're just like, we just don't do it. We
Yeah,
just don't go
we
left.
just don't go. We don't like expensive plane tickets. We like to just stay home.
Yeah,
Take
we
a bus.
play in the East Coast time zone, and we do not venture out from it.
That's
That's the way we live.
That's absurd. That's one of the most absurd stats I've heard.
So you can't have. So I'm good with nearby travel and having some conferences that culturally look like each other. You know, fan bases, how much they care about football, the tailgate scenes, all that stuff, preserving rivalry games, and we'll get into it as we go through the eight divisions. But I think you're going to agree with me on a lot of this stuff. So we said 2 conferences, 64 teams, 8 team divisions. Do the math on that, Lance. It checks out 8 times 8.
Yep.
Okay. Within that now, we are sticking to a 12-game schedule. That makes sense for college football players. We're not going to put absurd miles on these guys and ask them to play 20-game schedules as college football kids before they're about to sign big-time contracts. Okay. Within their 12-game schedule, they will play 7 divisional games, which is a full round robin. You're in an 8-team division. You're one of 8. You play all the other 7 teams every single year, so that there is never this question mark of who's better between those 2 teams. Okay.
Hey, I like that.
3. So we're at 7 games so far of your 12-game schedule. Then 3 interconference games. So whether you're on the American or national side, whichever conference you're on, you'll play 3 interconference games every single year. Okay. And in those interconference games, Lance, they're 1-year contracts. Okay. So it's not home and homes. Every year you can play different people. That's a rotating deal. So we get good games, kind of like the NFL does, where it doesn't take 20 years for the Bills to play the Rams.
Yeah.
You know, like we get that game on the books so that these fan bases can interact, and we can get a constant checkup on, like, okay, some division's blowing by another, this or that. There needs to be more parity, whatever the conversation may be. But every year that's interchanging, 1-year contracts. Then your last 2 games, out of conference games, and those are home and homes. No neutral sites in the regular season anymore. Let's get these games on campuses, and let's make those fun so we can get Alabama going and playing at the Coliseum. We can get Oregon going and playing in Death Valley, Clemson. You know, we can get these big time games going. That's the beauty of college football. That's what makes it so unique. That's what makes it fun. And those are home and home, so 2-year contracts, so that, you know, teams have to go back and forth and no one gets screwed on that deal. And you get to kind of feel it out over the course of a two-game rubber match. So the tiebreakers then still work as they do now, but now because they all play each other, they actually work. So as you go into the divisions, right, whoever your divisional winner is, well, who has the best divisional record? Who has the best then, if they're the exact same? Who won the head-to-head? Boom. You got a 3-way tie. Okay, let's go to overall record. Okay, and then you branch out. But because everyone plays each other, now these things can all be settled, and we can do this on a legitimate math equation and not go, okay, you guys both played Louisville. You beat them by 7. You beat them by 3. They get to go. It's like, well, that's fucking stupid. We're not doing a card off at the fate of a team of 120 kids. You crazy?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Okay, so this will bleed itself into a 16-team postseason format. Okay, seeds 1 through 8, all your divisional winners. Okay, 4 from each conference, all your divisional winners. Easy to sort that out. Seeds 9 through 16, at-large bids, and that's where it gets a little complicated. Again, you're going to have some tied records, but that one's a little easier and cleaner to figure out when you go on this model. And we totally erase FCS games. Group of 5 games, non-conference. Now everyone's playing comparable schedules, and we can actually compare resumes apples to apples, as opposed to saying, is a 3-loss SEC team better than a 1-loss Big 12 team?
Okay.
So that's how we figure out the seeding. Round 1, higher seeds host games. That's what's part of the current model, and it's awesome. You get a chance, and you're a 1 seed playing a 16 seed. Absolutely, you should get the home field advantage, 100%. Round 2. So now you're down to, potentially seeds 1 through 8. Those games are at your New Year's Six bowl locations: Fiesta, Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl. Okay. Round 3 then gets played at the Rose Bowl and Sugar Bowl. And that happens New Year's Day, like the Rose Bowl always does. And then week after, right before people go back to work, right there, national championship game, every single year, Las Vegas. I don't care regionally. UNLV is not a part of the original 64 team, so there's no home field advantage there. And there's one town that's literally built to host these kind of things. It's literally built and designed for this exact purpose. Every year it's in Vegas. It's fun for everybody. It's cool to go travel. You get to gamble on the games. Vegas every single year. Non-negotiable.
Dude.
Because otherwise you do the rotating sites, right? And like it's in Atlanta this year. There's a world Georgia is going to end up having to play 3 games have to play 4 playoff games, and 3 of them will basically be home games played in Atlanta. Like, that's ridiculous. That's dumb.
That's BS. No,
yeah,
okay. So my question, so the at-large bids, you don't think there will be nearly as much argument as there is now when it comes to seeding?
I think every, hit or miss, you'll have some where you've got some really close arguments to be made.
Always,
and there's
always.
I mean, decisions, right? Yeah. But I will say, one, there's going to be far less like 2-loss teams. The records will now look a lot more like the NFL, because now as many teams that win are going to have to lose, right? So it'll be less weird where it's like, everyone's got the exact same record because everyone's got to go play each other. So that'll sort itself out a little bit. And I think you won't have this world where the strength of schedule from the 20th ranked schedule to the 130th ranked schedule are like, oh my God, you just played a high school schedule versus, oh my God, you just played basically a minor league NFL schedule. Because Alabama doesn't get to play Towson in November now. And UCLA's not playing Fresno State as their last game of the season. And, freaking Ohio State isn't opening the season against Youngstown State.
Yeah.
And Washington playing Idaho. Like, all those games are stupid.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that okay.
Even when, and it's fun, right? I coached at Montana. We played Oregon tough. The next year they beat Washington. What a fun time for those kids to go beat Washington. But the whole thing's stupid. Yeah. It's not even a game that ends up bolstering the schedule for their FCS rankings. And then flip side for Washington, it's like, you just paid them $2 million to come and beat you. Like, what a horrible, stupid day that was for you. So those are the divisions. Now, hear me out, because people are going to go like this and say, okay, tell me what the divisions look like, because I guarantee we're going to end up with the same ones. We are kind of. But you tell me, because we can go through and I can argue each division's case against another one's. I promise you.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Is this still interesting, by the way?
Oh yeah, no, I'm super bought in. This is actually like, yeah, no, keep going.
Okay, so we got 8 divisions. We're calling the first one the Old Pacific, reminiscent of the original Pac-10 or the Pac-8 right here, that before the Arizona schools came in. But 8-team division here: Washington, Oregon, Stanford, USC, UCLA, Washington State, Utah, BYU. Sorry, Cal and Oregon State. Wazoo cares more.
Wow. So you have BYU. Yeah. I mean, if you have Utah, you got to have BYU.
So let's comb through this, by the way, and just argue for how good it is. One, this is a 2-hour flight max in this conference. No flying across the country.
Yeah.
You're playing your divisional games. It's a 2-hour flight max, which is going to try to be my rule for every conference. It's that you're flying 2 hours. Did you know, Lance, the majority of SEC schools have to bus to each other? They're that close.
Oh, shit. I actually did not know
45 minute to hour and a half bus rides. Starkville buses to like 4 of their games.
I didn't know that. I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that. That's actually crazy.
As a West Coast football guy, a guy who grew up as a Washington fan where it was a 3-hour flight everywhere we played, that's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just why I bring up the flight time. We also, as an added benefit, we get a little mixed weather here, right? We get a little Southern California, and we get the mountains. We get a little going up north, playing at Washington, playing at Oregon in the rain. So we got a fun division right there.
So I have a question. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, go ahead.
But
no, continue to interrupt. By the way, I don't mean to get so long in the.
No, you're good. You're good. So what? So you think? So with Cal and Oregon State not being in this.
Yep.
You lose Stanford's rivalry. and Oregon State's rivalry. But I will say Stanford USC has always had a little blood. I mean, so I could see some of them just from the old Pac-10, Pac-8, Pac-12, whatever the hell you want to call it days. There are some that don't like each other, but you do. Okay. So Oregon State, I guess you don't really miss that much because Oregon's just superior.
I mean, I'm as big a fan of the Civil War as anybody. I love that game, but it's just the fact that, like, if we really are trying to get to the top 64 teams, and part of that conversation, Lance, will also be like everyone's going to have to show on a balance sheet that they're willing to make the investment for what this is going to be like, what we're doing now, because there's going to be a lot of different things that have to get sorted out at the end of this. The transfer portal, the player compensation model, because now they're going to do a revenue split. All of this, they're going to have to figure out the finances and see, does private equity get itself into college football? Is there a return on investment for boosters? And what does that look like? All these sort of things. So part of this is out of the gate, you penalize the San Diego States and those people of the world that you'd like to give them an opportunity to still be involved. Like, I've cut Boise State out of this, right? Boise State might be in the playoff this year.
Wow.
Now, Boise State. Now, if you actually went and did this, right, and you put the offering out and said, basically, we're going to bid for spots, SEC Big Ten teams are already in, everyone else is going to bid for spots or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Boise State gets there. Now, at the end of this, I want to talk about a promotion and relegation model.
Okay, yeah. So that was my next question, and honestly, you're probably going to get to it. So I'll wait until you bring that part up. So keep going. I mean, I'm a big fan of this right now. This is good.
Well, yeah, and then one other thing you brought up, I'll just touch on briefly, rivalry games. A couple of these, I tried hard to keep, like, every year playing each other, rivals in the same division. A couple of them, like USC and Notre Dame, obviously, it's tough to get them in the same division and make that make sense geographically and from travel standpoint. But that's why we set up the model where there's a home and home with a non-conference team. So you can preserve all those rivalry games. If you've got anything goofy you want to get and play every single year, USC, Notre Dame can stay on the books.
And so one of these 64 teams cannot play a team outside of the 64. Just double.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
This is now Division I football, and this is all you're playing.
Yep, I see.
Yep. Okay, and then I'll argue for this. The Old Pacific's talent here. Washington won the national championship last year. Oregon's going to be the 1 seed headed into this deal. You hang on to USC, UCLA, and then Utah and BYU. BYU is looking like a playoff team this year, and Utah's been one of the best teams the last 20 years. So I think it's a damn good division right there, and a perennial, whoever they send to the playoff, a legit division. I'd put them up against anybody in the country.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, now Lance, this is where you'd probably hang out right here. This next division, we call it the Des. Okay, we got a 2-hour flight. We got a little bit of mixed weather here as well. Okay, here's my 8 teams: Arizona, ASU, keeping that deal alive. Texas Tech, TCU, Colorado, SMU, Texas A&M.
Jesus, that's Tech. So where's Baylor? Is Baylor out?
I think I may have launched Baylor. Yeah, Baylor.
Ah, dude, you got a couple teams that I'm sitting here listening. Teams have to get launched. They have to.
Right.
Like someone's
right. And obviously, I went a little homer here and I put SMU instead of Baylor.
But why? But why not? The SMU's in the ACC about to compete. I don't see the argument. I would agree. I don't see anything wrong with this. I'm just trying to think like some of these teams like.
Waco, Texas is a suburb of Dallas. We should encapsulate their fans. They should just become SMU people.
Hey, I like it. I've never been to Waco, and I don't ever plan on going to Waco. But is there?
Oh, you're not a big Chip and Joanna Gaines fan,
dude?
CTV guy,
big Texas guy. I'll be honest. I went once, and I wasn't that impressed. It was just too much for me. Too much for me. Maybe I'm uncultured. I'm one of these Cali kids. Yeah, I've lived a good life because I just get 70 degrees and sunny in all 4 seasons. But Texas was a little much. I was like, I was in Fort Worth. I've heard that's a little more Texas than most places. But I don't know. You keep going, though.
Well, one, you're wrong about Texas. It's not your fault that you're wrong. But Texas is good people, good community. Like Texas a lot. But obviously, I split up Texas and Oklahoma here, and in place did Texas A&M. thought for kind of the overall conference, it made more sense. A&M feels a little better than Oklahoma right now, so it gave this conference a little bit more strength to it. But again, you've got 3 teams in here that got a chance to be playoff teams, if not 4. Talented
Fuck, you got
squad.
5.
It's a 2-hour flight across the board. You preserve Texas A&M rivalry, SMU TCU rivalry, Arizona State rivalry. Good division.
Yeah, no, solid.
And if again we're gonna get, this is gonna become a 10-hour podcast if we get stuck doing this. But like if you go back to the other one and just start playing this game across the board, it's Texas lining up against Oregon, it's BYU lining up against A&M, it's SMU lining up against USC. So it's like it's all pretty fair.
Yeah,
it's all
no.
pretty good. Yeah. But let's stay hot, because I know people are going to be like, yeah, we'll wait till you get to the fucking SEC and see how you split those teams up. I did it. I promise you. I did it well. Okay. Now we'll go up to the Great North. Just short of a 2-hour flight here for these people in the division, and basically the same weather. But what can you do with the people up here? Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Illinois, Cincinnati.
Okay. So who do I in some of these I don't know it well enough, but who do I lose here? Who is some of the people that you didn't like? Who?
I think Northwestern got launched here. I think Purdue got launched here.
I agree.
Purdue's going to show. Purdue's going to show up later.
Wow.
Northwestern got launched here. God, I'll keep trying to keep my eyes on it. I've got this written down somewhere.
No, you're good. You're good.
And all of them, right, are plug and play. Like we could lose Purdue for Northwestern. Like it's tough. But I did this list before the season started. Like Indiana was a tough decision. Like I was like, maybe they're a basketball school. Maybe they don't want to play football anymore. Like
no, yeah, true. I see.
And those are going to be hard.
And that's another thing with this new layout. It would only be for football because you can't.
Correct.
So
this would outside. So currently, college football is in such a weird spot with the NCAA anyway that like it's all gotten a little bit of a fuck job regardless. Like there's plenty of teams that are basketball only conference members, So this model would exist completely outside of the NCAA model completely. The NCAA would no longer be at all a governing body of Division I college football. This would be run by a commissioner and a governing body in and of itself. Okay. College football 2.0, whatever you call it. But this is, and now, by the way, too, it would actually free up and get you to be able to solve a lot of issues that football has caused a trickle-down issue into other major sports. Basketball has kind of been okay because it's a revenue sport, just like football. But like women's gymnastics is all fucked up with the transfer portal and NIL money and all that stuff. Women's basketball is all fucked up with this stuff. Softball is all fucked up with this. So it'd be nice to be able to separate men's football, which with Title IX and everything else has always been a confusing fit as it gets compared to every other college sport. It's kind of its own thing all together and should be treated as such.
I agree. No, you're 100% right. All right, keep going.
Okay, next one, Manifest Destiny. We got Kansas State, Iowa State, Nebraska, Purdue, Indiana, Missouri.
Okay, so this has to be the weakest one so far.
So far, but Kansas State, perennial quality top 25 team. Iowa, perennial quality top 25 team. Kansas in recent years has been good, was a 10-win team last year, has been dog this year, but last couple weeks just beat Colorado and BYU.
I was going to say, I think they've won their last 4 games against ranked opponents. Yeah. Their injuries got the best of them this year.
Iowa State going into the last week of the season still controls their own destiny to a national championship. If they win this week, they're going to the Big 12 championship. Nebraska is a blue blood program. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time. Purdue sucks.
Purdue sucks.
Now, historically, they've overachieved as a football program. Okay. So I don't want to take it from them. Like, this is a team that had Drew Brees and went to the Rose Bowl. This is a team that had Kyle Orton. This is a team that has been in multiple Big Ten championships when they've been lopsided, having Michigan and Ohio State on the other side. The winner of that game has been playing Purdue for like 3 of the last 5 years. So it's not like Purdue this year sucks, and all of a sudden you go, yeah, who the fuck's Purdue? But it's like,
I see where you're coming from. All right.
Yeah, I agree. The Big Ten schools screw this up a little bit, and then Indiana, undefeated except for Ohio State. Kurt Signetti signed a big extension. Not a bad team. And then Missouri, was a favorite to go to a playoff spot this year until they got boat raced by Texas A&M, was the top 5 team in the country.
No, yeah.
So
After looking at, I had to do a double take, and I see a little. There, yeah, you're right. You're right. This is still.
so given some of the locations of this, you could mix and match if you think that Great North sounds vastly better. If you think Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Illinois, Cincinnati sounds that much better, we could plug and play, swap a Purdue for a Michigan State, no problem. You know?
Yeah, but then you wouldn't want to split up Michigan State, Michigan.
Well, they just play their interconference games. There's ways to preserve it.
Okay, so but I see what you're saying. You're in the right.
Yeah.
You're in the right spot.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close though. I've flipped it a million times. I think this is all as close as you can get. You'll see. Like when you start, you're going to hear one or two that you go, okay, that one's really good, and we can go back to this shitty one and go team for team, and again, it's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting. Okay. Deep South: Houston, Vanderbilt, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State.
Fuck. I mean, Houston, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. No, Mississippi State's had some years. I'm just trying to think of who are the most buns team in this conference.
I mean, in recent years, everybody had, like, Houston was good until they went to the Big 12. Now Houston's been ass.
Yeah.
Right. Houston's one of the worst teams in college football this year. Vanderbilt has been historically ass.
Yeah.
They were one of the teams I had on the chopping block just out of principle, but playing well this year. LSU, obviously, blue blood program. Arkansas, SEC school. You pull them out of the SEC. Does it get a little different? I don't know. I don't know what that does to an Arkansas team, but I never consider them a perennial top 25 team. They're just quality. They're solid.
Yeah, they're like, I would think of them at like 30. Like they're like right outside, like right, they can beat some people.
And then you have blip seasons when the Run DMC and the boys, and you get rolling, and you have a fun year. Go Arkansas, go Hogs. But generally speaking, let's not get lost just because they're an SEC name that they're this blue blood program. Ole Miss, blue blood, good team, good team.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, you preserve that rivalry. Okay, also quality team, but put them back in that team of that Arkansas camp. Okay, they had 2 fun years under Mike Leach. Outside of that, I mean, 1 fun year with Dak Prescott and Dan Mullen, but all they did was beat Florida that year. It wasn't like they ran off and did something. They won 8 games.
True.
Oklahoma, obviously, is Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma State. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Mike Gundy. And now that the T-Boone Pickens donation is kind of wearing off, what's the future of Oklahoma State? Still kind of fun. Go Pokes, but let's not get lost and be like, holy shit. They finished with 4 wins this year.
Yeah, no. Oklahoma State was honestly a big fucking disappointment this year with Ollie Gordon. I thought was going to be the truth, but it ended up being Ginty, and so
year for year, if you're stacking that, like who you would expect on a year for year basis, you probably go LSU 1, Oklahoma 2, Ole Miss 3, Arkansas, Oklahoma State 4. You go put that back up against our Oregon, USC, Washington, Utah, like. That's pretty.
I see what you're saying. I mean, if you look at that one, LSU and Oklahoma are the 2 that you would normally think are the winners. Ole Miss, maybe Ole Miss up in there, kind of in between, like being a normal second place versus first place. And there's years, that Mississippi State, Oklahoma State, I mean, they get hot, they get a good class, they got a good team that they can, that it's their year.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And also, generally speaking, pretty regional. If you start looking at the map, you got Northeast Texas there, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, little pocket of the country.
Yeah.
That I like those games. I like keeping that where it is. And it will be interesting now that I look back at it. That Manifest Destiny one with Kansas State, it's one of those things. The top end isn't as good, but the middle of that is better than a lot of middles. So it's. You got to debate. You got to line them up 8 for 8 and see it. But there you go. Okay, we just did the Deep South. Moving on to the Swamp. Florida, Florida State, Georgia. Yikes. Georgia Tech, Miami, Maryland, Wake Forest, NC State.
Okay, so this one's a little more top heavy and shitters.
Yeah, so you sneak in Wake Forest, NC State, Maryland, Georgia Tech into the back end of that. They're now good, but have gone through plenty of being great, plenty of being shit. But then, you've got Florida, Georgia, Florida State. Now, this year, right, if you were to line these up and do rankings across the board, not as impressive this year. You
I
know,
mean,
Georgia,
not
Miami.
bad. Georgia, Miami, Florida is honestly playing better. They're
Yeah,
getting better, but Florida State is
yeah.
abysmal. But
Florida's quality. It would be Georgia Tech, then next, then
uh,
NC State, then you get trailing off there at the end. So I agree. Anytime you start saying Georgia or Alabama, you're like, okay, let's perk up here.
yeah,
But not crazy.
no,
And we get the Georgia Tech rivalry back going. We keep Florida State alive. We keep Florida Miami. We keep Florida State Miami. There's some good ones in here. And the flight is 2 hours across the board. We keep that rolling.
no, yeah, that one's sweet because you see the king of Florida, Georgia's right there, and it's kind. I mean, those are huge in college football, and then obviously, yeah, do you have Maryland, Wake, and NC State, but who knows? Maybe they get hot one year, or maybe they get regulated and another team comes in that's better. I like where you are on this one. I like the swamp one.
Okay, going country now. Okay, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, Virginia Tech, South Carolina.
Okay.
Now,
First,
Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee.
Yeah, first glance, I was going to say it's a little top heavy, maybe, but
again, I think it's interesting if we just pull apart this SEC conference to see what happens in a couple years.
Yeah. I mean, South Carolina has gotten pretty good. Even though
South Carolina is interesting.
Yeah.
This is year 4 of this current coaching staff, and it's been more fun than actually good.
True.
They're going to go in at 8-3, I believe, this week into Clemson. If you get beat and you're 8-4, and 4 of your wins came in the non-conference, or 3 of your wins came in non-conference, it's good. You had good wins.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But it's not. But let's not get carried away and be like, okay, they're a blue blood. Like they're hanging around the top 25 teams in college football.
Yeah, they're right in that like 30 spot. We talked about Arkansas.
They're any 20 to 30 every single year. They're put them somewhere in there. Which now that we're in the top 64 teams, that puts them middle pack. Which they're 4th in this group. That's where they ought to be.
Yeah.
Now they're 20, and all of a sudden shit. But as a generally what we're saying here, and then last division here, the Colonial. Pitt, Syracuse, Louisville, Kentucky, Penn State, Rutgers, West Virginia, Clemson.
Okay, this in my head's the weakest one.
Okay, you got Clemson, Penn State at the top.
Yeah.
Then you go Pitt, Louisville, Kentucky.
But all of those are fraudulent ACC teams that aren't, just saying, like, from what Syracuse ain't going to beat anybody. They're not a football school.
Kyle McCord's leading the nation in passing right now.
He is. He might lead in interceptions. I don't know all the other stats, but
by the way, Syracuse, by the way, classic example of a team that might just say we're a basketball school now. We're not doing this.
True.
Yeah.
Pitt, I mean, they went 7-0 just to lose the next 4.
All right. Well, okay. I tell you what.
No, I'm not trying to I'm just like, but would you agree as well? Do you think like match this up again? I guess let's match this up. So, because I'm like, okay. Do you?
Let's go. The one right in front of it, which you thought was extremely top heavy, right?
Yeah.
Which you're like, that one's fucking good. Okay. So you go Clemson versus Alabama.
Yeah.
Penn State versus Auburn.
Auburn or Tennessee.
Or excuse me, Penn State versus Tennessee.
Okay.
I'll say Louisville versus Auburn.
All right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, okay.
I'll go Pitt then versus South Carolina.
All right.
Then I got Kentucky playing against North Carolina.
North Carolina or Virginia Tech. I feel like
Virginia Tech. Then I go Rutgers based on whoever you're not playing next.
Okay.
Then I get
once you actually line it up. Once you line it up and give yourself a second to look at all, and honestly, it was every single one of them. Once you give yourself a second to look at it, you're like, okay, actually,
oh shit, Louisville does beat Auburn this year, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're like, yeah, goddamn, Penn State and Tennessee is a good game.
Yeah. Huh.
This
is good.
Is a good game.
This would be insane, Jack.
Okay, now just before we get out of it, because this was a 40-minute convo, so appreciate the podcast. I hope people are enjoying it. Promotion and relegation, okay, has to be the case every single year. The best team of your corresponding mid-major, okay, replaces the worst team of your division. Got 8 teams going out every year, 8 teams coming in.
Okay. Wait. Repeat that one more time. I missed that.
So imagine right now, okay, go to the top right there. Let's go back to that old Pacific division. Okay.
Yeah.
Washington, Oregon, Stanford, USC, UCLA, Washington State, Utah, BYU.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine a group of 5 team division right behind it that featured San Diego State, Boise State, Colorado State, San Jose State,
Fresno
Hawaii,
State. Okay. So like
Fresno State, and UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those 8 teams, or excuse me, put Cal in that group.
Oh yeah,
Oregon
yeah,
State
Cal.
Cal and Oregon State.
UNLV can be in the Des one.
They play for a group of 5 national championship. It's the same model.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second, but you were right on the same model.
Same model, 64 teams. Okay. They play on weekdays. They play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights.
Okay.
So you get these great weekday lineups, and it doesn't fuck up the scheduling for the
for TV time.
Guys. Yeah.
Okay.
We want and we don't want people going. We had to play Saturday this week, and now we're having to go a short week against somebody, and they're getting a lot, or they're coming off a bye,
okay,
or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't want to create this. We're on a short week, and they're not. That game's bullshit. I have to put an asterisk next to it. You're trying to clean up all the postseason discussion and just let's actually get to the bottom of who the best team in college football is. But so you figure that out. But the best team in that division, and then they go on and play their playoffs and do whatever. Or potentially that's just their model, and they all play like their own bowl game. So whoever the championship game ends up being,
I see.
The top 2 teams in each division, they play a bowl game that's a championship to go up to the old Pacific. And then vice versa, the bottom 2 teams could play a bowl game of the Division I football to see who doesn't get promoted or relegated.
I see. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Especially when you brought up the idea that they play during the week and kind of just because you're right, the TV times and things like that, like everyone gets their allocated time.
So Cal's a perfect example of a team that has been in dead last in coach's salary for the last 10 years in their conference. And in terms of investment in facilities and all that shit going on, you can't continue to do that and then be an equal partner and share in the conference's revenue. Vanderbilt, you can't underspend next to everybody but get the same check that Alabama and Texas A&M get. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Everyone, you got to show on a balance sheet you're going to be a part of this and into it. And then now you're eligible for the big prizes. Because I'm telling you, this model where I want to talk about a couple other things here, but this model, the amount of money, this will be the greatest export America has. This will go by the NFL, or at least stand shoulder to shoulder with it.
It would at least stand shoulder to shoulder with the NFL. This would be absolutely insane.
So I like mid-wagers playing on weekdays to preserve the scheduling, and as just a TV product, I think it'd be really cool. You have those games on the midweek, you're paying attention. That way, they're also still then playing on Fox and ESPN and NBC.
Yeah,
they're not getting fucked off to play on ESPN Plus, and you can never see them.
Yeah,
and they play cool night games, and those are fun. I remember I went to school when SMU sucked. Those Thursday night games were fun, man. They were fun as a student. I think that's cool. You get up Saturday, sure, but they want to watch big time football anyway. When I went to Saturday games when I was at SMU, kids wore LSU shit to the games because it was like, what do we care? We're not playing for anything. So I'm telling you, that makes it a lot more fun. Now, what happens to the service academies, Lance? Army, Navy, Air Force. Where do they play?
Yeah. Did you just cut them all, or do they get there? Do you have a little hobbit spot for them?
They are getting slid into the Ivy League division, and they're going to play. It's going to be service academies and Ivy Leagues, and they are going to play on Saturday mornings every morning at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, while game day is going on. That will be the blanket. Those games kick off regardless. They all kick off at the same time, noon slot every time, and those teams play their own deal, and they play their own bowl game championship at the end of the year. It's just them, and because that's pure amateur football. That's such a different thing than what the rest of us are playing, but it's still beautiful and should be celebrated. It's still so cool to watch because it's like high school. Like you can respect, like one, you kind of like you see yourself in the athletic profile out there. It's not like, holy shit, look at these fucking guys. You're like, yeah, I could have played on this field at some point. And there's something to be said for that. And then two, like it's just for the love of the game out there. It's just like I was watching a little Harvard Yale. What a cool game that is. I thought the Rose Bowl was the coolest game in the world. I went to Army Navy. It's not even close. So I think that would be super cool. And you get to those old school box scores of Harvard playing Army. That's a cool fucking game. Harvard Army.
Honestly, now every it feels like every single thing you bring up on here, at first in my head I'm screaming no, and then it just like wait, let me think, and then I'm like, actually, yeah, that does work. That does work.
Yeah. Last one I'm going to throw at you, FCS football, your Montanas, your UC Davises, your Southeastern Louisiana States, your Delawares, your fucking, you name it, your Maines. You guys are playing spring football now, and it's awesome. We're trying to get spring professional football popularity going. It's becoming a better product. It's going to get better and better the more the NFL partners with it. The problem why it took so long to get off is because no practice squad player wanted to go play for it because there wasn't a direct pack path to the NFL. So why go put more miles on your body? Now they're starting to partner a little bit. The NFL is involved. So it's like a direct farm system. As that popularity grows with the USFL or the UFL now, let's get college spring football going. They get Sundays, they get Saturdays, and football owns the whole year. Why the fuck wouldn't we?
Dude, that's actually fucking sweet. This is actually
how into that would you get? And I know it'd be less, but it'd still be cool to be like, all right, yeah, we're watching Montana play fucking,
why
Weber
not?
State this week, and we're stoked.
You get football.
Like I got the Grizz. Yeah, you get football, and then you figure all this stuff out. You got to make sure everyone comes up with a minimum investment. We've talked about the finances of it, but then you start to, now that everyone's like under the same governing body, we can sort out some shit like the transfer portal and its windows. Like currently, the transfer portal is going to open on December 1st. Every team that didn't make a bowl game gets to entirely focus on that. Every team that's not going to make the playoffs or do anything gets what matters left and right.
Where I don't even remember. I got saved. But every player or every team that's not making the playoff gets to spend. Sorry. No, you're all good. But spend.
But they just get to go straight into that part of their schedule. Whereas SMU is going to be stuck trying to recruit their own roster, try to think about recruiting transfer portal important players to replace guys leaving, and they're getting ready for a conference championship game on December 7th, let alone the playoffs after it. That's dumb. When people started transferring, when Prime first got to Colorado, they changed the entire curriculum around at Colorado so that they would be more accommodating to transfers, so they could take on more academic units and it wouldn't screw these kids. Now, that question benefits the players, but that's a bizarre thing, and other schools aren't willing to make the same sacrifice. So all of a sudden now you create this recruiting imbalance, the competitive imbalance. So these are things you need to get sorted out so everyone's playing under the same banner, and we can actually go figure out who the best team is in college football every year. Because right now it is different. And the idea, the SEC is the best team and best conference in football, but I had a buddy coach there for a little bit that told me if anyone wants to catch them cheating, all they have to do is show up to practice. Because every kid shows up in a brand new car and not one of them has any money. So make that make sense.
Dude. I mean, you're right. The SEC is the best conference in this college football 2.0. Jack, you've got me hooked. I'm in. Like, if there's somehow I could have any weight in this world, I would be in. You've convinced me. So, dude, this would be insane.
We may have to get Tuck to make a graphic of the divisions and have some people battle that out, because there's going to be some shit talking out there. I already know the SEC people are going to be telling me they're getting screwed in this thing, but
yeah, I mean, no. Once you actually sit there and line them up, I mean, there's good arguments all around the board, all around the board. In every conference, everyone's interchangeable. Like shit. Let's look at Swamp. Swamp versus Des
across the board. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do.
No, yeah, especially I mean that, but like let's look at this one. I want to look at Swamp versus Dez. Who's the top of Swamp? Georgia. Who's the top of Dez? Texas. And then next, you'd say
you look at Swamp. I'll look at Des. So give me your best team out of the Swamp.
Okay, best team out of Swamp, Georgia.
Okay, playing versus Texas. Fair.
Miami.
Okay, I give you Texas A&M.
Fair. Florida.
SMU. This year,
SMU would probably beat them, but more
and marching forward, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Florida State.
ASU.
Okay. So, but
this year in brand, should I go brand?
Well, no. Yeah, more brand, because like Florida State, I don't know what the hell happened this year.
You know what? Let's give Florida State wins that one. That's fine. I give you ASU. You win Florida State. Florida State wins that one. Give me your next one.
Georgia Tech.
Colorado. I win.
NC State.
TCU. Fair.
And Wake Forest.
Texas Tech. I win.
I think Texas. I'd say TCU boat races. NC State. No.
I think it's fair.
You think? I mean, TCU a couple years ago is in a national championship.
I think you're going to find every division goes 4-4 against every division, and at worst they go 5-3. And it'd be
that's true.
A few years removed from conferences getting moved away. What this all does, how much does it change everything, the landscape?
No, yeah, you're right. I don't think there's a single conference that you get worse than 5-3.
It's weird, right? But especially too, if we start out and look at the investment and then it becomes just an arms race where everyone's playing on an even playing field. SMU, sure. Tough to say. It's easy to treat this year as a blip, but SMU raised $159 million in a week and a half. SMU is all in on this next generation. Yeah. This is a team that's literally just been under the death penalty for 45 years and is now back. So you can't.
SMU's a private school. SMU's got money. SMU's
got money.
In a game that you need money, SMU's got money. I've always thought of SMU as the USC of Texas.
Lance, Rhett Lashley just got extended, the head coach at SMU, and they don't have to disclose what that number is because they're a private school. But when a booster was asked what the number is, he said, "I'll put it this way: if Rhett Lashley leaves, it won't be because of money."
Wow. See, SMU's bought in. You're a happy pony over there. I see the smile, your little smirk on your face. You're a happy guy.
I'm just saying, SMU versus Florida, and I'm supposed to flinch? No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. Give us the swamp. Oh,
so,
all right. And then how does the promotion?
I hate this crew, by the way, I'm scrapping our picks for the evening because I'm about 4 minutes late to a meeting, but I want to finish this conversation.
Go ahead.
No, it was just exactly what you were saying. I was just reminding you. I just
Oh yeah. All good.
Yeah.
My question was, so with the teams that are left out that can promote, is there any is FCS and Army and all those teams they're just cooked? They can't.
Cooked.
And which is valid.
Yeah. Now I would argue that there ought to be a path for them to get into a group of 5 situation, and vice versa for a team that doesn't group of 5, I would imagine, is going to lose some money. The economics of a group of 5 team is going to be interesting. Now, the reason to put them in the middle of the week is so that they can actually play on national TV and make some money back through their TV contract, which I think would be interesting. But there's going to be some schools that just opt into being basketball programs.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. But within that, there's been a path to promotion and relegation already. Charlotte didn't have a program until 2011. They're now in the American Athletic Conference, right? Sam Houston State got promoted a year ago. James Madison got promoted to become an independent, so all these different things. It's there'll be a path towards it, but you got to come through the promotion window. And this is just so you don't have this weird circus of, lack of parity.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. All right. Well, shit. We definitely have to revisit this, and I want to I want to show this to people. I want to bring people on the show and have you basically just do the whole thing again, but we're just convincing that, because I would just sit there and look at their face and while it just smiles big, the smile gets bigger and bigger, just like, holy shit, this is genius. And that would be a great time for me. But yeah, so you said you got to run?
Yeah, I got a blast, dude. I'm sorry. I was trying to make that conversation last 10 minutes, but then you're so nice. You liked it. So I was like, all right, let's make it go 45.
No, all good. All good. I mean, honestly,
when I first did that, I like literally got off the laptop and was like, I think I did it. I think I just did it.
No, I mean, this is damn good. This is pretty sweet. Like I like what I'm looking at here. All right, Jack. Well, if you want to sign out, I'm giving my picks. I'm giving the loyal people.
Picks.
Yeah.
I'm going to split off. Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you very much. Carry us. Outro's written on there if you want to give some love to Steeps, but love you lots, pal. I'll see ya.
Yep. It's been a pleasure. All right. And then there was one. Folks, I don't know if you got the tune in. It looks like Tucker's the only one tuning in. Shout out, Tuck. You guy's a legend. You're a legend, Tucker. But yeah, that was crazy. This is a whole rebrand and a whole restructure of college football. It would basically make it its own league. It would battle the NFL because it would be that crazy. But going into Tuesday night picks, my picks, NBA, I got Lakers plus 2.5, Rockets plus 3.5, and Bucks plus 2.5. Taking three dogs going into NBA Cup. I don't know. I've just seen a lot of dogs been winning an NBA Cup. I know it's skinny lines and it's not the same, but I don't know. I like it. I think it'll hit. I mean, Lakers going against the Suns. They're just getting back KD and Beal. KD and Beal have not been, if they're just coming back, I'm not that worried about them, especially Beal. Rockets plus 3.5. Timberwolves, I've just been underwhelming this year. Just not a big fan. Don't think they do that great. And the Rockets have kind of proven their depth and how they play. And Ime Udoka's got those guys. They've been winning basketball games. They're 12-6. Bucks plus 2.5. This is against the Heat. I honestly low-key hate this one, but I had to look it up. The public loves the Heat, so I love the Bucks. Going into NBA props, LeBron over 8.5 assists. This is an NBA Cup game. It'll be a slower game, feel more like the playoffs, which is why I believe LeBron's going to take over the facilitator role like he has been doing and play more guard and have a high assist total. So over 8.5. Anthony Davis over 2.5 steals and blocks. Like I said, NBA Cup game. These games kind of feel like playoff games. They take them seriously, and over 2.5 steals and blocks for Anthony Davis, who is and should have always been a defensive player of the year. Like, that looks like an easy number for me. Jimmy Butler over 20.5 points. Jimmy Buckets has been showing up. Beginning of the season is kind of out of shape, out of basketball shape, not playing well. Right now, he's kind of hooping. I've seen some box scores from him. I haven't watched much Miami Heat basketball. Don't get mad at me. I'm on the West Coast. They don't offer me much over here. But I think he'll clear the 20.5 points. Giannis over 5.5 assists. This is a weird one, but the Miami Heat kind of figured out the method to build the wall. Not Donald Trump. I'm talking about the Miami Heat, but they say build the wall. They have Bam Adebayo right there in the middle, kind of shutting down paint presence from Giannis. So I think drive and kick will be the only way they have success tonight. And then Sengun over 4.5 assists. Why I have this random number, a center, to have over 4.5 assists is because how the Timberwolves are shaped. They have Rudy Gobert, that French piece of shit, right down there in the middle. I believe Sengun's range and game pulls him out to hit some back cuts. It seems like easy basketball. It seems like an easy hit. But who knows? Maybe I'm a goddamn idiot. Going into NCAA basketball, I like Duke Auburn moneyline parlay. Auburn, the SEC will do better than the ACC tonight, but Cooper Flag. One of the big things Kansas has had a lot of success on is their field goal percentage and how they score in the paint, and that won't be easy against this Duke team because they are fucking massive. Those are my picks, folks. So we had college football 2.0. We have my picks there. It was a great show today. Jack had to leave, but yeah, I mean, as you guys know, the show is brought to you by Wanna Parlay, home of the $2 parlay and the world's richest parlay, where every week people are turning $2 into $2 grand. We said it at the top of the show, but we're just gonna We're just gonna go into this one today. One a week people are already taking home some pretty sweet dough. Big congrats to some of our big time winners. Dialed picks, you sack of shit. You only know winning. The pick 6 victory and the I think second place in the pick 5. The guy just took $950 home, folks. Like that's too much. Someone's got to be here contesting. Someone's got to battle this guy. We're just giving this guy money. We're paying his rent, and his house is probably a lot better than any of ours. Red Smith, 88, our guy Brad, one of the nicest guys around, won the pick 4, $250, absolute legend. But let's get a little update on the main event. Steve Lloyd, 708, gets out to a nice early lead, posting 30.71 on a nice Monday night 7-legger. But Steve, I guarantee you that's not going to win you the entire contest. Might win you good money, but that will not win you $2,000 as everyone else is going to try to hawk at you. So, and a reminder, the final reminder and update on the WANA VIP contest. This is the final week to participate, everybody, as the contest closes December 1st. Best thing WANA Parlay or any other platform has offering right now. This contest costs you just $2 to enter. And a winner will receive 2 all-expenses-paid tickets to the WANA Parlay Suite in Arrowhead to watch Justin Herbert and the Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on Taylor Swift and the Chiefs this December 8th. Dowd Picks remains in first in that contest, but 49.757, I guarantee you will not get the job done. So get in there. It's hunting season. Go fight. Go see the Chiefs live in Arrowhead. And then shout out to KG Little Joe's Kevin Glywa, absolute legend who usually tunes into the chat. We missed him today, but he has a Little Joe's toy drive going on. You know, one of those you show up, bring toys. If you're in the Chicago, Illinois area, go drop off your toys. We want to make sure no kids suffer from not having a Christmas gift under their Christmas tree, you know? Come on, we love the kids. We love the kids. But that's gonna do it for us, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. We honestly, it's a great question. I don't think we're gonna do a Thanksgiving stream, as that seems outrageous. But we might do one early tomorrow, or we might do one Friday. Keep you posted on the Instagram. Appreciate you all. See you next time. Salute.